followers, and welcome back to Mystic Worlds, and as always this is Safe Haven for the final time, and in this video we will be doing a post-mortem analysis of this map. So up to this point we have been playing through the map, and last episode we completed it. We did the grand finale and I got the obsidian and the dragon egg and all that fun stuff, and now I thought I would take the opportunity to talk about my thoughts on the map and what's going to be happening from here. So I guess we'll start off over at the spawn point, and this map is very big, so I can't talk about individual areas. I tried to do that as much as I possibly could while I was playing through it, but if I don't talk about a specific area, I'm sorry, there's just too much to get through in this video. I'm going to try and keep it to 30 minutes, but who knows, it could overrun a little bit, but I'm hoping to kind of keep it short. So, this is the spawn point. This is where we spawned in. I'm actually going to keep a bed with me, just so that I can pass the night. And we obviously read some information here, and then we came across this crashed plane. It was pretty cool, I have to say. I like the whole theme and the starting and sort of area to it all. And then we came down here to our original base, which I lived in for a little while. Got some basic stuff going. And I felt at the start here, my first wooden pick there, I actually felt that this starting area was really well balanced. You could pass the night, so you didn't have to deal with mobs if you didn't want to. But you did start out at night, so there was a little bit of work that had to be done prior to that. And I actually felt that this was really balanced, and I really enjoyed this aspect of the game. We got our basic tools and equipment together, and then we moved on to this area here. And this area is where I got my basic supplies and such. Obviously the final area is over there, we'll come back to that. And the next thing we checked out was this here, and I guess we could talk about the monument and this sort of area, the metropolis. So let's head down here. So down here was, oh, it looks like I blocked it off now. What is this? I completely forgot I owned that. That might have been useful at one point or another. We had this, as was my first skeleton trap, because I think I needed experience. I'm not sure what for, but I think I did need experience. And I may have even farmed it for armor a little bit as well. And bones, of course, so that I could get better food. So this area, it had a few spawners in it, but it was pretty well balanced, actually. I didn't feel that this was too difficult at all. And I felt that this was a good start. We ran into the monument here, and we sort of moved in, and this became our main base. This here is a blaze trap. Never did anything with that creeper spawner, and don't intend to. And this is my dual skeleton farm for experience here. So I think the first objective we got was through there, and I was pretty happy with the way this turned out, honestly. Guess we can go ahead and fill this in. This was the monument room. I thought this was really well designed. I liked the two-floor aspect to it, and everything kind of made sense. It was all sorted correctly and that sort of stuff. So I was pretty happy with that. And obviously we moved in here, and I spent, I think, almost a week building this base, because I had to clear out a lot of sand around the place. Basically, this entire base is built above a huge vein of sand, so I had to be careful with it. And here's the tree farm that I never ever used. It was kind of a big waste of time now, but it was sent worth it to me at the time. Would have been handy if I ever needed wood. I think I may have used it once or twice, but I don't recall using it that much. So this was our little base area. That was the skeleton trap down there. My item storage. This is all custom built. One thing I did like about the map is it gave me the opportunity to build a base like this. Some maps, there's bedrock everywhere, and it's really hard to make a proper base that actually looks nice. This here, by the way, is my dark room, and cactus farm, and I think there's an egg farm in there as well for all those different supplies. And this dark room was very handy for getting gunpowder for TNT and things like that. It's off at the moment, but if I turn it on, we'll probably get a few mob drops around. So all in all, I was pretty happy with the way this base turned out. I liked the way it looked, and I'm glad that the map maker gave me the opportunity and the supplies to build something like this. So moving on from here, I guess the next place to visit will be the bedroom, because I need to sleep, and then we will continue on to the first proper area of the map that we conquered, which was the Enchanted Forest. And I'll discuss my thoughts briefly on that. Now, the Enchanted Forest was not the biggest area in the map, not by far. This was kind of, it looked big initially, but it was kind of big, but there wasn't really too much in it. It was more for looks, I feel. We had the small dungeon, which I had a very close experience with death in, down there. That was a pretty cool dungeon, gave me some more ideas and to what the sort of backstory to this whole map was, which was pretty cool. And then we came up here, and this was the canopy, and this was quite a challenge given where my gear was at, and I remember having some trouble around there with some cave spiders. This area would be balanced if cave spiders didn't do that annoying glitchy thing where they always hit you, but that's not the map maker's fault. That's just the way cave spiders are now. But overall, I thought the rest of this area was pretty well balanced. Maybe there was a few things I could have done better. I could have possibly geared up more before taking that area on and not had the same sort of issues that I did have. So this was quite a fun area to explore. There was a lot to check out. I really liked the design of the trees, and overall I was impressed. I felt that this area was pretty well balanced, and balanced is going to be a word that I'm going to use quite a bit throughout the map, because apart from the very, very, very end areas, it was balanced for me. And the reason the end areas weren't is because it was a max spawn situation. It wasn't like the map maker had deliberately intended to make it really, really hard. So this is just the dark room and stuff that I just showed you, by the way. And I guess from there we moved on to... Oh, I guess we could talk about the library, but I think we moved on to the pyramids after that, or maybe this here might have moved on to the mountains. I can't quite remember. So this library here was a challenge, but it was definitely doable. And this is where we placed our research notes and so on and so forth. So I was pretty happy with the way that this was laid out. I liked the concept of having bedrock walls that you had to negotiate. You couldn't just punch a hole in the side and walk to the end really easily. And it was a bit of a maze in there, so that was kind of fun to do. And then I think we did actually come over here and take a look at the mountains and start and explore that. I remember finding some information about sort of binary and things like that in there. And that kind of brings me to a point with the research note setup and the sort of binary pages and the hints and things like that. One thing I would really like to compliment Damara on, who is the map maker by the way, is his time and effort that was spent into writing the backstory and the notes and stuff like that. It really made the map feel a lot more alive and real to me. One thing I love in custom maps like this is lore. I'm a big fan of that, and Damara did a really, really good job. It actually felt like I was an adventurer on a quest to find out why these clouds were here and to banish them and conquer this map. So I was really, really happy with that. It was a lot of fun to collect the research notes. And I really appreciated the extra few sort of niceties that it did add, if that makes sense. So down here was where we found the binary pages. There was a research note in there, and this, the tower that beat me. This was the site of my only death in the whole map. I didn't die anywhere else, and it was my own fault. I didn't have blocks on my bar, which I really needed. It's all quiet now. I was at one point thinking about building a blaze trap, but I never felt it necessary, honestly. Got my little cabin here. What did that have in it? Just a bunch of junk. So that was quite challenging, but as I say, it was not ridiculously difficult. I did kind of bypass some of the dungeon by going from the top down. As I say, I got into a position where I was stood, I think, right here, and I got knocked off by a blaze, and I ended up falling here, and I didn't have any blocks on my bar, and I got poisoned, and there was blazes around, and all that sort of stuff. So, unfortunately, that was the one occasion that I died on this map. As I say, just one death, and that was it. You know, I'm not going to shoot that. That makes the game crash. With all the ladders, I guess I'll knock it down. That's, yeah, it's going to hit the ocean there. So there was not too much to say about this area. I thought that it was pretty cool, really nicely sort of laid out. I liked the sort of biome transitions. I really did like the aspect of multiple environments. There was kind of like a jungle, forest, snowy area, a desert, mountains. There was sort of structures, and then the clouds and the nether. There was a lot of options, and there was a lot of different environments, and that was one thing I really liked as well, was the number of environments that you could take part in. So, moving on from there, what did we do next? Did I do the pyramids next? I think so. So let's fly on over to the pyramids here, and I'll talk about those. So this was the first, what I would call, real challenging area. Everything up to this point had been doable. This area was a step up, though. This is where the map began to get a little bit harder. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't unachievable. It was just more difficult. And this is probably one of my favourite builds. The dome house here that I built for storing stuff in. Did I leave anything useful here? A lot of wood. Some levers. Not really. Just kind of bits and pieces. All those gold swords from my little gold farm over there. This was one of my favourite builds. I really just wanted to build something out of lots and lots of glass for reasons unknown, and this just felt appropriate. I needed a base to store my stuff in. I loved the view. This still happens to be my most favourite area in the whole map, sort of aesthetics and scenery wise. I just love the way this area looks. I'm a big fan of sort of pyramids and giant sandstone structures in this game. It really like it a lot, I feel. And I was really happy with this area. There was a lot of unique challenges and ideas that were implemented here. Different sort of platforming type things, and up here as well, and sort of entrances to different things. We found some lore stuff over there, if I recall correctly, and just generally I thought this area was pleasant. Probably more pleasant now than it was when I first forayed into it, but it was very cool. And then this area here was where I found some stuff. One tip for improvement I would suggest is probably have put something in this area. It did seem a little bit bland. There wasn't a whole lot in it, so maybe add in something. I know there was a pirate on the coastline, but that wasn't a lot for this kind of space. Hopefully in future maps, sort of space will be taken into account more. That sort of brings me to an actual point for improvement, and I don't really know how he could do this, but I did find I was spending a lot of time traveling from my main base to the dome house, or to the cabin near the mountains, or to the clouds, the nether, whatever. It seemed always to be walking all over the place, and travel took up quite a significant amount of time. Now, this isn't like an intersection-based map where you could just add a rail line to an area, because it would kind of look ugly. But maybe, possibly, like an underground railroad, possibly, and maybe like a dig thing where you could make a little stairway up to the surface might be cool, that sort of hooks up to the main monument, because travel was kind of a pain. I don't know how you'd do it for the clouds, though. But as I say, I spent quite a bit of time traveling. And it was fun at first, don't get me wrong, and I mean, it was still fun. It was not boring by any stretch. It just kind of, it made just this extra time having to traipse all over the place, particularly moving equipment back and forth and so on and so forth. So maybe that would be a tip for improvement. So we conquered this, and then we moved on to the mountains, I believe, next. And the mountains were, again, another sort of unique area. A lot of it was underground for that one. I was pretty happy with the sort of layout of the area. I liked the sort of aesthetics to it. I think, obviously I made a mistake of not going to the nether sooner, as it was pretty easy when I went, but that's a separate topic to talk about. This here I thought was really cool. I was pretty happy with the way that it looked and the sort of journey that you took. And down here was the mountain core. This was quite a unique area as you sort of spiraled down, and it was interesting to actually go from the top down, which is something I normally do on this occasion it was already done for me. So I quite liked that unique challenge. So that's that. After that we did the forest here. The forest I completely burned down because I was looking for stuff. I think I found the blue wall there, and there was this forest temple which we checked out, and this was a cool area down there. I had a lot of fun in there. Sort of a unique challenge, a unique style, and it sort of connected into different areas. Connected up I think with the meteor pit actually at one point, or it might have been somewhere else. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But I burnt this down looking for stuff. Very mob filled. We're kind of in a max spawn situation here with the mobs. But the forest was an interesting area. I thought that it was pretty cool. Can't really say a whole lot about it as there was not a lot there. So the meteorite pit was the first big area that we had adventured to. Like everything else was kind of medium compared to this. There was a lot to do here. And I thought that this was another one of those areas that was very aesthetically well done. Like the looks of this when I first saw it was kind of amazing. It was one of those views where you just went, wow. And I took my heads up display off and really just spent a moment looking at it, because the amount of time that went into this area was really quite inspiring for anybody who is looking to get into maps, and it was certainly very nice to look at. And there was a lot of different areas down here, and I felt that these were pretty well balanced. They offered unique challenges, sort of dealing with bedrock in there, low visibility in the overgrowth cavern, and this one I think had a puzzle in it, if I recall. It was either a puzzle or a maze. I think it might have been a maze. There were some dungeons across this map that had puzzles involved. This one, the fortress, had a puzzle in it. I do remember that. And the one in the forest, which went down the grate right there, that had a puzzle in it. And this is something that I would like to see more of in CTM maps. One thing I thought that Damara did really well across the map was sort of the puzzle aspect to it and redstone things. It wasn't too hard to figure out, and you got hints about how to figure it out, so you weren't completely in the dark. And I actually felt that that was a really nice addition, and it wasn't just, okay, let's kill a bunch of mobs, get the wool or whatever block it was, and get out again. It actually encouraged some thought, which I am a big fan of. I like to actually think when playing these types of games. So I was pretty happy with the way that the sort of puzzles panned out. And seeing this also reminds me of the pirates. I'm not really sure why, but another nice addition I thought was the pirates. A lot more could be done with them now, as I think I alluded to a few episodes ago, with command blocks and custom trading and so on and so forth, because that wasn't around when this map was out, so I couldn't exactly, you know, say, oh, you should have done this, because it was not there then. But in future I would recommend that. By the way, on a slight sort of side note, this map was made and released for Minecraft 1.3. I'm playing on 1.47 here, but a lot of things, if you sort of watch this post-mortem analysis, you think that the map maker might have missed, like command blocks and stuff. It's simply because it didn't exist at that point in time. This was before command blocks. This was before, well, when the map was released, this was before even the anvil. You know, that was 1.4, which was the whole reason I decided to play on 1.4, was purely based on the anvil and being able to repair and combine items. But as I say, command blocks didn't exist, custom villager trading didn't exist. There was a lot of stuff back then that just simply was not in the game and sort of revolutionized the game, like custom mobs. They didn't exist. They didn't exist till 1.4. So that's why the only mobs we fought were vanilla mobs. I think you could do a few custom things like charged creepers and angry pigmen, but that was about it. That was literally all you could do back then. And I think that with the limitations that were in place then, I think Damara did a really good job in actually making this map something that you would want to play, bearing in mind its size as well. So I was really happy with that. Obviously now with things that have been moved on, I would be very interested to see what he could come up with in his next map, with all the command block stuff and what's been added in the recent patches and what I've been reading about, what might be coming down the road and so on and so forth. I'm really interested to see what both Damara and other map makers can do. It's definitely moving on now as far as the game goes. So getting back to the meteorite pit point, it was a cool area. It had a lot of unique puzzles in it, and I was a big fan of the pirates as well. The pirates were something that you obviously found the book which told you roughly where they were, and then it was kind of like a little treasure hunt, which is almost a puzzle in itself, and then you had to go find the loot. So that was another one, another kind of unique idea that was in this map that I haven't really seen done anywhere else. So I was pretty happy with that. The pirate ship is over here. I guess we'll take a quick look at it, being as we were on the discussion topic of the pirates. And then after that, I think we need to move on to what would be next? The clouds, maybe? I think we talked about everything on the ground level. I guess the clouds. This was a unique, fun challenge. This is pretty much the pinnacle of what this map is all about. Small platforms and a floating castle. It was really unique, and I really liked that. It's stuff that I've not seen in any other map, and it was kind of nice to actually see stuff that not everybody does, you know? So this is the pirate ship. It has pirates on it. Pretty cool way of depositing them. Maybe in the future, perhaps a better idea would have been to put this pirate ship over in that bay near where the monument is and the fallen metropolis. But I understand that based on where the spawn point was, didn't want it just basically out, as it was something that we needed to find. But it made traveling again a bit of a pain, because the Victory Monument is all the way over there and the pirate ship is all the way over here. So it meant that if I found more than one objective, I would be traipsing basically across the whole map again. So that would be possibly an improvement. Maybe locate the monument and something like that closer in a future map. So I guess now it's on to the clouds, and the clouds were again another unique area, something I've not seen done before. I mean, I've seen floating areas, but not on this scale where there's entire castles and stuff floating in the air. And again, more unique challenges and ideas. Remember, there was a cave system in one over there, sort of unique environments to fight mobs in, like this big water castle here. That was a very unique experience and one that I enjoyed a lot. And some very nice aesthetic looking areas too, like this guy here. Is it the Black Depths? Is that what it's called? This was a really well and unique designed area. Now, as Damara will know, my big suggestion for maps, just maps in general, is be careful with the amount of ladders that you place, sort of invisible ladders to stop ender pearls and stuff, because it did actually crash my game. I had some major issues with that. But now, I believe, in 1.8, from what I read, and don't quote me on this, I'm not clued up, but I believe there is some sort of barrier block now, where it's like an invisible piece of bedrock that you can't pass. And I think that that would probably be a better addition than the invisible ladders. It's something that's finally been addressed. The problem with that is, though, you might need to create like a sphere around, and then it wouldn't really do the fall thing. But maybe you could do like a sort of cylinder setup, maybe with no bottom, and you could still do the falling thing, in case you want players to fall to their doom. So the clouds, they were unique, and they were a battlefield I've not really had too much experience with, which is what I enjoyed. I've done a lot of fighting in caves and stuff like that, but this was unique in that regard. See, there's all invisible ladders here, and you could just see the hitbox of them. It's kind of difficult though, like here, there's a hitbox there for invisible ladders. If you update those, they can crash. And all through here, there's still invisible ladders still, like all the way over here. So maybe reduce them, or use the barrier block if that is indeed a thing in the latest updates. So I can't really say too much more about this, honestly. Just that it was unique and it was fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. Now, the Nether, I'm not going to go all the way over to the Nether. Oh, hey, Spider Jockey, how are you? Got a gold armored skeleton too. So the Nether, I'm not going to go all the way over there, but the Nether is probably one area that I would suggest that could use a bit of improvement. There wasn't a lot in the Nether. Maybe it was again because I went a little bit too late, but the Nether kind of, apart from the one dungeon where I went on the quest with all the notes, the other two were kind of not on par with that, if that makes sense. They were still fun and they were still well put together, but after playing through Cloud Canyon and having all the myths and mysteries and notes and that, I was really anticipating a similar theme for the rest of the Nether, and I thought this was the final area, so we'd learn about everything and things like that. So maybe in the Nether next time make it a little bit more difficult, because there wasn't a whole lot of difficulty there. Again, something that could be achieved simply with custom mobs now that was not around in the game, and also possibly adding some more sort of lore stuff to the Nether, because the rest of the map had a lot of lore associated with it, but the Nether kind of felt a little bit left out, in my opinion. Other people may disagree with that though, and that's fine. Again, these is just all my opinions and what I think might be useful improvements. Doesn't have to say that the map maker has to implement them. I'm just trying to give him some advice and feedback about what I thought. So, following the Nether, I guess we move on to the final section of the map. And the final section of the map, it felt to me a little bit different to the rest of it. It didn't seem to fit, if that makes sense. I thought the end part did, but the cavern we came down in, it didn't really make a lot of sense with the rest of the map, and maybe that's because I completed it out of order or whatever. But this was another area that didn't really have much lore associated with it either, and it would have been nice to have had a little bit more lore associated with it. It looked nice aesthetically. I thought there was a good job done there, but beyond that I didn't feel that there was really too much point to this area, to be honest. It was just another little area that you had to go through, pick up a wall and move on. Maybe it was just a transition area, I'm not sure, but aesthetically it was well done, but maybe a little bit more lore here, and maybe as well up the difficulty a little bit. But at the same time, one thing I would suggest for this, basically all of this overworld section of the final area, add some honeypots, because it was max spawn everywhere. And again, I don't think honeypots were really a thing back when this map came out, but now honeypots would be a really, really good idea for this map. And if anybody doesn't know what a honeypot is, it's basically a big empty room around dungeons that mobs can spawn in to take the load off, because otherwise you end up with all the mobs that can spawn going into one area. And bear in mind, this was all well lit up. And in fact, you might even be able to see it if we head over here. Stuff like this. There's all of these mobs and bats and everything here. I would really think honeypots would be a good addition to sort of draw off some of the natural spawns, so that you can actually focus more on the custom mobs should you choose them, or the actual mobs that are going to be coming from spawners in the cavern. So that would be my piece of feedback. Now, moving on from here was this area. I thought this was unique, again, in the sort of void fog. I know that that has been done a little bit before, but this felt substantially more difficult than everywhere else I've been at. Again, this was another area that could have benefited from honeypots. It was very crowded in here, and being as you couldn't see very well, that made it even more difficult. I didn't get to check to see if there was anything down here, but I don't think there was. Again, though, I thought aesthetically it was very well done, so good work on that front. And then there was the end, and the end is, I mean, it is what it is. It did offer a unique challenge, as I say. As far as maps go, I don't think I've ever seen the Ender Dragon used in a CTM map before. I mean, I've not played lots of them, but it was still pretty cool to see this sort of thing sort of done. I would have suggested, however, just for some people that may play through the map, probably putting the victory block in something, a container that can't be just vaporized by the dragon. I kept away from it, but some people might not know that. So I don't know really what you could do with that. You could put it in a minecart chest, possibly, and make an obsidian and endstone box, because an ender dragon can't destroy the minecart with a chest because it's an entity. So maybe do that, but that's just a small tweak that I would possibly suggest. So, I mean, my overall thoughts were that this map was unique. It was very, very well put together. I would recommend it to anybody who is playing. I do know that there is some compatibility issues with the later versions of Minecraft, so I would possibly suggest playing on 1.4. 1.5 would be okay, but you have sort of the buffed mobs and things like that this map wasn't built for. And 1.6 and beyond had the saturation change, which really unbalances pretty much every CTM map made before 1.6. So 1.4 would be my version of choice. I do know that Damara plans to do some work on this map again and getting it up to date for the latest versions of Minecraft, so if you are interested in playing Safe Haven, it may be worthwhile keeping an eye on the thread and the description to see what work he is doing towards this map. It's been very, very cool. I've really enjoyed my experience playing this over the last 6 or 7 months. And before we go ahead and end this video off completely, I do want to talk very, very briefly about where we go from here as far as my YouTube channel is concerned. Up to this point in the video, I've just been talking about the map and stuff like that, but I do want to have an opportunity for you guys who watch Safe Haven and sort of enjoy the custom playthroughs and that kind of thing, or maybe you're not into my vanilla stuff or whatever. I do want to let you know what's going to be happening here. So I don't have a lot of long-term targets at the moment. My plans are to mainly work on what's already on my channel and get that into a good state. I can tell you that I will not be playing another custom map for some time. I'm not going to say forever, because there probably will be one that takes my fancy. I may possibly just say, to kind of update that sentence there, I may not be playing any CTM maps anytime soon. I've seen a lot of custom maps that are sort of small and seem interesting to me to actually play through at some point for the newest updates. So I may do that, but it's at the moment that's a no-go as well. But in the future I can't tell. But as far as CTM maps go, I kind of would like a break for a while. Safe Haven was a lot of fun, but it was very long and it took a lot out of me as far as CTMs go. So I think it's now time to have a break and try something else. My main focus is going to be finishing another series that I started some time ago on my channel, which will replace this series in the short term, and that is Monaco. I want to try and finish that game at some point soon. I'm also going to be focusing on finishing my LP World stuff. I have a lot of plans for the base in my LP World that I want to work on and sort of finish up ready for Minecraft 1.8. And beyond that, I'm not sure. I mean, the long-term aim for me, and again, no promises, but the long-term aim is to probably replace this series with mods. It's been something that I've wanted to do, had limited success with because of time constraints and so on. But I do want to play Feed the Beast again, and possibly not having a custom map will enable me to do that. But as I say, before I do anything, I want to first work on finishing up Monaco and finishing up my LP World stuff. But after that, possibly the return of Feed the Beast. Again though, I'm not gonna say yes or no on that front right now. It just depends on how things sort of pan out over the next month or more, really. It's kind of a long-term thing. You can actually hear the mobs burning up in here, and the loot would end up down here. I guess we can check on that before we end off. So that's the plan moving forward. I hope that you've enjoyed Safe Haven. I have really, really enjoyed it. Wow, there's a lot of loot there. Can I pick that up and see how much it is? A lot of zombie flesh and bones and gunpowder. So, as I say, I really hope you've enjoyed Safe Haven. I've had a lot of fun. It's going to be sad to see this map go, but it is time to move on to new things now. We have completed the map. I would definitely recommend it to anyone. And I've really enjoyed my playthrough. So I guess that's it. I guess we can say goodbye to Safe Haven. It's been fun. It's been 7 months now, pretty much, and it will be longer than 7 months by the time this video goes out that I'll have been uploading it. So thanks for all the fun times and memories, Damara. It's been a brilliant, brilliant map, man. Keep up the hard work. Keep developing maps. I really look forward to your second map whenever that happens to be. I'll probably look into playing it off camera, or maybe even let's playing it again. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you later and have a good day.